Good morning. My name is Mike Counselor for the Lancaster Police Department. Here we go. And I'm going to talk about our most recent smoke shop operation and give you an overview of that and answer any questions you have. Looking at licensing data, the city has 196 tobacco retailers. Now that includes Walgreens, it includes Albertsons, it includes Chevron, but it also includes 76 we've identified as smoke shops, specifically involved in just tobacco and glass pipes and drug paraphernalia. It's a lot of different government agencies that touch smoke shops. Talk about that. The operation that we did a couple weeks ago, we hit 30 locations. We found violations at all locations. We brought the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration with us, California Department of Cannabis Control, LA County Probation contributed a canine that can detect cannabis, and that's a rare thing. A lot of police canines are not trained to detect cannabis anymore. And we brought LASD and LA County Public Health. What we're seeing in the smoke shops are cannabis products that are packaged in a way that's attractive to children. Sometimes they don't fully have the proper labeling that says exactly what's inside. We'll talk about that in a second. Sometimes they're stealing the intellectual property of legitimate food products and create confusion. We're seeing a lot of sales of intoxicating hemp. Just for background, the cannabis plant produces 120 different cannabinoid substances. The only one that the city ordinance prohibits, though, is Delta-9. So all these other cannabinoid substances are kind of a loophole that evades the city's regulation right now. So one of the things the city might consider is expanding the definition of cannabis in the cannabis ordinance to cover these intoxicating hemp products. They cause very similar effects as Delta-9 THC, but because it's not Delta-9 THC, it's regulated. It's not regulated, basically, and it just enters the market, and kids are buying it. There's no safety testing, no quality control, nothing. We also, everywhere we went to, we found a new emerging substance called kratom. Kratom is a plant that comes from Southeast Asia that it's an opioid similar to fentanyl and morphine and heroin. And what they're doing is synthesizing it and amplifying its potency. It's 14 times more powerful than morphine. The LA County Coroner's Office has already attributed 6 deaths to it. It's not FDA approved. What happens is that when Public Health Department sees it on the shelf, offered for sale, they'll embargo it. Embargo means that they put it in a box in the store, they put a red tag on the box, says that you're not allowed to sell this. And it's basically the honor system. And it's based on the only law that applies to the substance right now is the Sherman Food Act. The city doesn't enforce the Sherman Food Act, so we have to bring public health with us to enforce this. There are some cities that have taken action. San Diego, Newport Beach, and Oceanside have enacted local ordinances that are prohibiting kratom sales. It may become Schedule 1 at some point in the future at the federal level, but right now it's the Wild West. We also saw mushrooms offered for sale, and what was interesting and problematic with the mushrooms is that the labeling on the package didn't say psilocybin or anything that would give us probable cause to take any action. Instead, what it said on the ingredients was proprietary ingredients, proprietary blend, and other ambiguous things that leave us without anywhere to go. Again, that's a violation of the Sherman Food Act. Public Health can do something, but there's no tool for us to do it. So we brought Public Health with us. We also saw a lot of nitrous oxide sales. Nitrous oxide produces a euphoric, intoxicating effect. The kids buy it. They're even selling it that's flavored. Something the city might consider, and we looked at, is the city of Rialto has an ordinance that completely bans the sale of nitrous oxide. And they've had a lot of public support for that and very little pushback. We also found novel drug substances and packaging that came from overseas. Some of the labeling was in Mandarin. It was not even clear what the ingredients are, but they all made health claims. We found illegal weapons, switchblade knives, brass knuckles. We found drug paraphernalia, glass pipes and bongs. And a lot of this, one of these stores was 100 feet from a drug rehab facility. We did look at our crime data and overlay it with the smoke shops, and we can't say for sure that there's a connection, but there appears to be a connection between crime and smoke shops. We are seeing these products in the schools right now, and there's between that and the crime issues that are tangentially associated with the smoke shops, they're not really contributing to the community. We are looking at the other thing that's not in my presentation is flavored tobacco and vapes. We found those at a lot of these places as well, and those are also being found in the schools. The California Department of Justice administers a Prop 56 grant, and they have $30 million that they're trying to give away to cities to do tobacco enforcement. They're begging cities to apply for it, and that's something that we're looking at for the next grant cycle is in May is when that should open up. Any questions?
I have a couple of questions, and it may be asking the city is this as well, is what point do we get, when do we get to the point where we start closing down these smoke shops for the violations? And how do we go back monitoring once they started a violation to monitor that all this stuff doesn't come back?
So all of the locations that we went to on this last round got violation notices that puts them on formal notice that they are in violation, and that lays the groundwork for future enforcement action. That could include revoking their business license. And that's about it right now, unless we...
So is that a verbal warning?
It's a written warning, and it lays the groundwork, and a copy of that goes to the landowner, and the landowner is informed that the city can file a drug abatement, nuisance abatement action lawsuit against the property itself if drug sales continue. But without... A lot of these laws are enforced by other agencies. The California Department of Tax and Fee Administration does the flavored tobacco. The Department of Cannabis Control does the cannabis products. Public Health does the mushrooms and the kratom. And so without either state or local legislation that pushes that, expands that to code enforcement or the police department, we really have to get those other agencies with us and carry them around in our pocket. The police department does not enforce the Sherman Food Act. That's a very technical, detailed thing. It's beyond the scope of what any of us do. So local legislation would help a lot, like with the kratom in particular, with the nitrous oxide. San Diego has a really great ordinance on novel drug substances. With the beauty of that ordinance is that it is broad enough that it captures these, when they keep changing, they just change one chemical, part of the chemical structure, and it falls outside the definition of the law. The beauty of San Diego's ordinance is that it covers these changes. So we might look at that.
So we put them on kind of verbal warning thing. So is one of the other agencies that's involved in it, is one of them going after them? Obviously, they're using Wonka, so I'm assuming they're going to go after them with copyright issues there.
Well, so the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration will issue a $50 fine for each package that's in violation. So if you look at untaxed cigarette package, that is a $50 fine. If you look at on vape, they took thousands of vapes off the shelves, but each vape that they pull off the shelf is a package, and that's a $50 fine. So they're looking at hundreds of $1,000 fines to the state. Now, if the city wanted to become a grant recipient under the Prop 57, excuse me, for tobacco enforcement, the city may enact local legislation. The city may get some of those fines for doing the work of enforcing those laws.
Okay. And you mentioned on there that there was some cities that were banning the nitrous oxide. Do you know of any success stories of some of the cities that have done this and how that's working for them?
Rialto enacted a total prohibition on nitrous oxide sales. They have a lot of public support, and they've seen a decrease in incidents related to nitrous oxide. They had a fatal traffic collision where the driver was impaired on nitrous oxide, and they found nitrous oxide inside the car. And that was the impetus in Rialto. There's been a couple more incidents, one in the city of Los Angeles, also a fatal traffic collision where a baby was killed. Same thing, drivers impaired by nitrous oxide. But Rialto is the only city I'm aware of that took very strong action.
So it sounds like something we might want to get involved with since it's they're getting our children. They want to
Correct, and
go after our children with that.
if you go in a smoke shop, you say, oh, I want to, we've asked the smoke shop operators, why are you selling nitrous oxide? And they'll say, well, I'm selling it as a food product so that
Yeah.
people can make cake, it's whipped cream. But it's a smoke shop, they don't
Yeah.
have spatulas, they don't have anything else you need to bake a
Right.
cake. But that's the problem in the law, is it's an intent crime. If they don't, I have to get them to say, I'm selling this so people can get intoxicated. If they say that, okay, I got them. They know not to say that. They
Yeah.
have a script. They've rehearsed what they're going to say when they get asked. So the Rialto model is just, hey, you can't have that. You can't even offer it for display, and that gets around that whole thing.
Thank you.
So with that, all this big operation we did, and none of those smoke shops they closed down, actually, because they got the verbal citation and maybe penalty from the sales tax.
The state's imposing penalties on all the smoke shops that were found in violation. The city's role was we did seize some product that was contraband, particularly the weapons. Those would be destroyed, I think, early next month if there's no appeal. There were, again, city sent warning letters putting them, we now have something that we can give to a prosecutor if there's a future violation. A copy of that went to the landowner so we can file what's called a drug house abatement, a civil lawsuit against the land if the problem continues. And the problems usually do continue at smoke shops. The council recently passed a moratorium on any new smoke shops until we can study this issue a little more closely. And I imagine that that's going to become probably a permanent moratorium, and then we can start looking at the smoke shops that we have and determine, are they continuing to violate the regulations, and then at that point, maybe start revoking business licenses.
Is there currently an age restriction to enter the smoke shops? Is
They-
it like a bar? I've never been in one. So is it like a bar where it says if you're under 21, you can't go in?
No, not at all.
So any age child after high school can go in, there's no restriction?
Any aged kid can go in. There's, the zoning ordinance does not allow them, any new ones to be installed within 1,000 feet of a school, but existing ones are where they are. There's no restrictions on who can enter. There's laws on who can purchase certain products, state laws, but we don't know and don't believe that the employees are actually applying those laws and doing some minor decoy operations and shoulder tap would probably be very useful if we develop that capability. But no, there's no restrictions at all.
And I'm sorry, you said there is a restriction to how close they can be to schools, or there's no restriction on that either?
There is now, within you cannot get a tobacco retailer license within 1,000 feet of a school. But that's a recent thing, so there's existing non-conforming that are where they are.
Thank you.
Sure.
Which is somebody grandfather in, is, that's a jail, right?
Correct.
So
And this-
that means there's a smoke shop right next to the high school or junior high. And then they change the ownership. When it's the license is a grandfather in, that the new owners carry over the grandfather in license?
Yes, yeah, and so that's a problem with a lot of these illicit kind of shadowy businesses too. If we revoke a business license, and we're seeing this in the massage industry. will revoke a business license, and then another person in the same organization will come in as the new owner. And it's a total straw game.
You mentioned you're working with CDTFA. Did they find counterfeit tobacco tax stamps?
Yes, we found counterfeit tobacco stamps. We found cigarette packages from Missouri, untaxed. In fact, we were doing surveillance on one of the smoke shops for about an hour prior to us actually going inside. And it's interesting, the word got out that we were hitting locations, and the surveillance team watched employees of the smoke shop carrying boxes out of the smoke shop and put them in a car. And it was only, the car was parked in a public parking lot, and just very lucky, the car was not registered. We were able to tow that car, and during the inventory search, discovered the cigarettes. Just very, very lucky.
Because with that, I know, I think it's 3 strikes, they lose their tobacco license through CDTFA.
That's correct, that's
So-
correct. So they'll get increasing fines next time, and then the third time they revoke, the state will revoke their tobacco license. The issue is that the CDTFA is stretched very thin. They have the responsibility for the whole state. And so we have to put these, to get them up here is just, is an effort. And to get public health up here is an effort. You know, we can't do this without their help currently under the current legislation.
This was our first attack on the smoke shops. We intend to continue this. This isn't a one-time thing. So we've established now what was there. They received their letters. We have multiple agencies obviously involved who have issued citations or fines. And now we're going to continue doing these types of operations until we don't see the problems anymore.
Thank you, wonderful start.
I saw the map that you put up there where the crime, the heat maps, and the smoke shops and the correlation between them. Do you think we can get a copy of that too?
Yes,
I didn't see it here.
yeah,
I
we
thought
can
that was
provide that.
very interesting. And thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
So are you guys, your team working on drafting or pulling together some model ordinances for the council to consider?
So we have looked at the Rialto ordinance and the San Diego novel drug substances ordinance and pushed that up to the city attorney's office, and that's where it's at right now, being reviewed to see if it's appropriate to include in our municipal code.
Right. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. That's great news. Okay, moving ahead to our consent calendar, we have just one item, the approval of minutes. Is there any objection to approving the consent calendar and minutes as presented?
I will abstain since I wasn't here at the last meeting.
Okay. Well, in that case, we'll go ahead and vote then. So I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Commissioner Brown, second by
Second?
Commissioner Hernandez. No other discussion, please vote.
Oh.
Please vote again. Oh. We've got just a little error in our vote system. So you know what? Let's go ahead and we'll do a roll call vote. Oh, okay. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to commission staff presentations, updates, and reports. We'll start with LA County Sheriffs.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning,
Deputy-
welcome, Captain.
Deputy Kit Gruppe is not here today available. He's in motor school currently, so I'm here to present our CompStat data for the city of Lancaster. Do I need to push the buttons to move on? Okay. So we'll go ahead and start with our CompStat data, which is our 5-year and 1-year comparison, and I'll stick specifically to the city areas. If you look at our criminal homicide in Lancaster, total incidents so far year-to-date in 2025 are 12. compared to 19 reported last year. That is a 36.84% reduction in criminal homicide. I do have some details that I can provide on those just to kind of give everyone an update. So in year-to-date, there have been 12 incidents with a total of 12 victims. In those incidents, 7 of the incidents involved the use of a firearm, 4 involved the use of a knife, and 1 was unknown. Majority of the incidents occurred in a parking lot, which was 4 out of the 12. 3 occurred on the street, 2 were in a residence, 1 was in a park, 1 was in a motel, and 1 was in a business. So just to kind of provide a little more detail on the incidents themselves. If we move down to forcible rape in the city of Lancaster, there were 71 reported incidents so far year to date compared to 74 in 2024. Compared to 47, which is a 51% increase in forcible rape. I do have some more details on that to kind of give you some clarification. And I'll break down just realistically for September so you know. In September, there were 10 reported rape incidents in the city of Lancaster. Of the newly reported incidents, 3 of them occurred prior to September. So a majority of those occurred, if not years prior to. Their older incidents have been reported to us. So far in these incidents in September, there have been 3 arrests made. Bodily force was used in every incident. Drugs and alcohol played a role in 2 of them. 5 of the incidents occurred on early morning shift. For us is between the hours of 10 and midnight and 6 and 8 in the morning. 2 on day shift and 2 were unknown. The relationship on those 10 incidents in September, in 6 of those incidents, the relationship was either an associate in 4 or dating or married in 2 of the incidents. So, and only 1 of them, it was an unknown person. So there was no incidents of rape involving somebody that, in the majority of the incidents, it was the perpetrator was known to the victim. The location on those, 7 of them were residential, 1 hotel, and 1 on the street. If we move on down to robberies, in 2025, there's 222 robberies compared to 205 in 2024. That is an 8.29% increase in robberies. We have seen that slightly increase. We had a huge reduction in robberies last year, which really, it was anywhere in the range of 25 to 30% reduction. So this is a slight increase in comparative to last year. But if we look at those for September, there were 29 robberies in the city of Lancaster. 6 of them were armed and 23 were strong arm robberies. 8 instances were what we call Estes robberies, and that's where a person used force or fear in order to retain possession of the property. It's not your traditional robbery with a firearm. It's usually force or bodily force. 12 arrests have been made so far. 6 incidents were domestic violence related, to put that into context. 16 incidents occurred on PM shift, 7 on day shift, and 6 on early mornings. The location type, 10 of those incidents were at businesses, 7 residential, 6 on the street, 4 in a parking lot, 1 in a motel, 1 in a bank. If we go down to aggravated assaults, 672 incidents reported year to date compared to 742 last year, a 9.43% reduction in aggravated assaults in the city of Lancaster. For September, there were 55 reported aggravated assaults, 49 incidents with a total of 55 victims. 28 arrests have been made. The victim knew the suspect in 34 of those incidents, and 10 of them were domestic violence related. 14 occurred on day shift, 24 on PM shift, and 1 on early morning, and 10 on early morning and 1 unknown. Move on to burglaries. In burglaries, there are 391 reported incidents year to date in Lancaster compared to 483 last year. That's a reduction of 19%, 19.05% reduction in burglaries in the city of Lancaster. For September, there were 13 residential burglaries reported, a year-to-date increase, of course, of the 19%. The most common point of entry, when point of entry is known, is the rear door of the location. And most common mode of entry is bodily force, either kicking in the door or using your shoulder to break through the back door. And the most common exit point again, is the rear door, same location, entry and exit. One arrest made, 4 named suspects identified so far. One thing to note in regards to burglaries, in Lancaster in September, there were 9 commercial burglaries that occurred at businesses. And the interesting point to that is that the restaurants that were broken into were all in the city areas on 60th Street West, all in the one same shopping center, and they all occurred on the same night. So that was a spike for us in commercial burgs, but it really didn't affect the residential burgs, as you can see. In that case, arrests were made and 3 persons were arrested behind those commercial burglaries of all the businesses along 60th West between L and L8 there. In regards to larceny theft, which includes the petty thefts and the businesses, the shoplifting, 803 reported incidents in 2025 compared to 855 in '24, a 6% reduction. In September, there were 79 larceny thefts in the city of Lancaster. Of the 38 other thefts, 21 were items left in an open public area that was stolen. The rest considered of acquaintances stealing items from residents, package thefts, and some cases deputies have used the wrong statistical code that identified the incident as a petty theft when it wasn't. Grand theft auto. In the city of Lancaster, there are 826 reported incidents year-to-date compared to 953 last year. That is a 13.33% reduction in auto theft in the city of Lancaster. In September, there were 83 GTAs in the city of Lancaster, a year-to-date decrease of 13%. 16 were attempt only. 52 of the vehicles stolen in the city have been recovered, with 27 of those being recovered in Lancaster Station area. Most common vehicles stolen or attempted to be stolen in the city were Hyundais and Hyundai Elantras. 12 arrests have been made. The top RDs for us, and I'll just tell you the numbers, top reporting districts 1122, 1137, 1135. What we do, one of the big things we've done in Lancaster to combat the auto theft this year is our LANCAP team, which traditionally focused on robberies, has now been split in 2. Half the team focused on robberies, the other half focused on auto thefts to really make a huge impact on those numbers because they were so high last year and the year prior. They have been successful in using the flock camera systems through the city of Lancaster, partnering with the city of Lancaster, Lancaster PD, and working on those high crime areas. One other thing we're doing is our analysts are making maps for the deputies that we distribute every week. In addition to, traditionally you just send out the list of the vehicles that were stolen for the week. Well, now we're actually showing maps that the deputies are getting, showing where they're being stolen and then also where the cars are being recovered at. So deputies are able to look at where the cars are coming from and where they're actually being dumped or dropped off when they are. So really looking forward to that positive enforcement and seeing those numbers go down dramatically. I know we don't talk about the county areas much, but if you look at it here in the county areas up there on the board, that showed a dramatic decrease from last year, 42% in the unincorporated county areas, which is a good plus, I think, for the entire community. If we go to arsons, I know that's one place that we've always been plagued with. It always seems like a high number every month. But if you look at it, it's 42 incidents this year compared to 28 last year, a 50% increase. 7 of those arsons in September in the city of Lancaster, or 7, year-to-date increase of 50%. In September, 3 incidents were vehicles set on fire. And in that case, one of those was a stolen vehicle. One was an attempt to set a residence on fire. That suspect was arrested. One was a planter in front of a business, and 2 other ones were set in desert areas. So although it seems like there's a lot, it's not a serial arsonist out there setting fires. The only case we had where a person attempted to set a house on fire was one time, and that person was a family member who was arrested. So arrests for the year, we're showing a fairly consistent number across the board. For September of this year, 395 arrests compared to 357 last year. That's 38 additional arrests for the month. Really, when you look at it, that's a little bit over 1 arrest per day if you look at those numbers. So fairly consistent on arrests across the board. Here's our crime hotspot maps. If you look at those, they're pretty consistent in the areas. There is a little bit of a change when you look back to last month and some of the stuff last year. Division and K, which won't be able to point here, but Division and K is up there on the map. It's not as red as it normally is. The area of K and 20th Street West has always consistently been a high crime area based on all the businesses that are there, from the thefts that are occurring at the Target, the Lowe's, the Winco. Continually, you see that big red there in the middle. If you move on to our calls for service, they're fairly consistent. You see the calls for service predominantly in the same area between 10th Street West and Avenue I to Challenger Way and Avenue I in those areas, up to Avenue J, K, and 10th Street West. And then, of course, there's Valley Central is in there also, Valley Central and Avenue J, based on the high retail areas. And if you also look at the maps, you'll see in the prior map that it gets a little red out towards 20th Street East and Avenue J because of the high volume of stores in that area. I know we added this some time ago, calls for service, observations only. So this kind of shows you where the deputies are doing their most work. The observations are going to be your traffic stops, where most of our observations in town focus on crime enforcement, and that focuses on deputies doing traffic stops in the high crime areas. If you look at the maps there, you'll see the concentration of stops almost similarly matches up with the concentration of not only reported Part 1 crimes, but the calls for service. Traffic data for the month. 0 fatal traffic collisions in the city of Lancaster, 69 total injury crashes, 77 non-injury, 259 citations issued, and 30 DUI arrests for the month of September. Any questions?
The only question I had was going back to the forcible rape. If I understood you correctly, you said some of those numbers were from like last year?
Prior to.
Prior to, and it just came.
Prior to this year, stuff
Okay.
that's been reported to us. A lot of times you may get reports because there's no statute of limitations. You'll get
Okay.
reports that could have been 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Okay, so is that safe to say that maybe some of these numbers are off throughout the year
Yes.
because?
Yes.
Okay,
We take the statistic when it's reported to us,
okay,
so even if it's something that reportedly occurred 5 years ago.
got it, okay.
So-
Thank you.
I have a question in regards to the 911 phone calls.
Yes.
I had a young lady approach me about calling into 911, and no one ever, showing up to take the police report. Where do the phone calls go when a resident in City of Lancaster calls?
It should traditionally go to Lancaster Station.
The sheriff's
Sometimes they
station?
write, the sheriff's station, sometimes they do route to CHP depending on where the call's coming from, but traditionally it should come to Lancaster Station. There have been issues with the 911 system in the last probably 4 to 5 months. I know traditionally when that happens, we switch the 911s to Palmdale, and Palmdale will take our calls whenever we have issues. There have been some issues in the AT&T lines that they've come out and repaired some issues, but we have had some issues with the 911
When you
lines.
say issues, what does that mean?
The systems, something goes down in the AT&T and they have problems with the 911 calls coming into the station. So once we find out of that issue, we switch those. And we have had that happen probably about 4 times in the last 6 months.
Yeah, I've had 2 people mention that to me twice already,
Yeah.
where no one ever shows up to take the police report. In one
Right.
case, she had to drive herself to file the police report. So I really wanted to know, what is the time frame between the time someone calls to file a complaint and the sheriff's showing
Well,
up?
so our dispatch model is different. So we have, all our patrol cars are out there other than about 21 minutes response to priorities and about 6 to 7 minutes to emergency calls. But our routines, yeah, it does take us up to averages around 250 minutes. So
And then just to put things into perspective, how many 911 calls do you get a day?
911, I'm not sure, but we average roughly about 400 calls per service per day.
400 calls a day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A day.
And that's both city and unincorporated.
And
combined.
Captain, do you still have the virtual deputy?
We do.
Okay,
We do.
can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So yeah, so Lancaster, in addition to Palmdale and some other stations in the county, have a virtual deputy. That if you come to the lobby or you want to make an appointment with a deputy and you have the time and you don't need to, it's not an emergency, it doesn't need to come now. You can go online to our website, click the button, and it'll give you an opportunity to set up an appointment with a deputy. A deputy that will be able to, you schedule the time and that deputy will give you a link. It'll give you a link to a Zoom. And then you can get on the Zoom with the deputy and have that conversation about, and it's not just, we tell people, don't, if you have a question, sign up for it also, because there's a link when you start, you can click either ask a question, talk to a deputy, or report a crime. Because again, there's certain crimes that you won't be able to take online, but if you just want to talk to a deputy about something, you can also do that too. So it's on our social media, or on our webpage, lesd.org, Lancaster Station, our virtual deputy appointment calendars there. You can click the button, start the process, and set an appointment with a virtual deputy. And that way it gives you the opportunity to do it. You can do it from your car, you can do it from your phone, you can do it from your house. And that way you don't have to sit there and wait in the lobby for a deputy to respond or wait at your house, if it could be up to 10, 12 hours for a call, so.
Okay. And
But
then
I want to talk to you offline about that, though.
I have it. I have the police
Okay.
report. I have the photos.
Okay.
She sent it to me. So
Okay.
I did mention, I know that you guys are taking on a lot, doing a lot, and I thank you for everything you do. So, I just
Yeah, no, I
wanted
want to talk to you, ensure
Yeah.
that, did she get through to 911 or did 911 not answer?
She did, she got through, but
Okay.
no one ever showed up.
Okay,
So she ended up driving herself there. And I don't know what exact night it was. Like I said, I know you guys are everywhere and doing a lot for our city.
right.
So I was curious, though, to find out how the response, is it internal, is it external, is it, some
Yeah.
database somewhere, a call center somewhere? So I really wasn't sure
No,
how that worked.
it's internal. It all starts at Lancaster. Our dispatchers they'll answer the call, they'll type in the call. It gets sent to a main dispatcher who distributes it to the cars. But there are days when, with the murders and shootings and other things that are occurring, that
Take
those are
precedent.
going to take precedent over, let's say, a report call. If it's not something happening now, right? If it's something, unfortunately, it's not occurring now, it's something you want to report something, those are going to go down to the bottom of the barrel. And the ones that are coming out that are emergencies and are occurring now are going to take priority. So,
With 400 calls a day, that would be maybe like 12,000 calls a month,
roughly. yeah.
approximately.
Just about 80 to 82,000 a year.
82,000 a year?
Yeah.
And only 5,457 incidents out of 184,000 calls?
Reported incidents, yeah.
Only,
You mean
Five-
part one crimes? Are you looking at part ones? Or-
yes, the total incidents 2024.
Yeah, those are part one crimes. That doesn't mean, sometimes we go to calls, it doesn't mean that it's a crime is actually occurring. What may come into 911, what may come into the call center may not be a crime or may not be a reported part one crime.
Got it. So 84,000 calls and
Yep.
only 5,457 Part 1 crimes reported.
Right.
So there's a discrepancy of about
We,
79,000 calls that don't get.
well, we officially take about 27,000 reports a year.
And only 5,400 are Part 1 crimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are part two crimes too, so there's a difference.
Oh,
Oh, no, go ahead.
What is the difference between the tag number and the report number?
A tag number is a documented response that we went there. It's in our computer system. So it's a
So somebody
permanent,
call the dispatcher and
correct,
state number, it automatically generates a tag. number,
automatically.
right?
Every call that comes in generates a tag number, an incident response number. And that, whether a report is taken depends on what's provided, whether a crime is reported or it's determined that a crime occurred.
Because the report number is actually
A
deputy who
report,
responds to
yes.
the tag number.
Yes,
And at
yes,
the scene, they write the
Correct.
reports and
Correct.
it creates a report number.
correct.
So if a deputy never responds to that tag number, there's no report number.
No
right?
report, yeah. So, yeah, they will clear the call with a report number if a report number is taken. But if it's not a report number, sometimes they won't give the person the tag number. Here's the document that you called, that we responded, and there'll be a short, it's a very antiquated system. I'm sure you heard of the issue with our MDC computers in January. So there will be an updated system coming. It's a very short system with, 5 lines, to type in a complete narrative if a report's not taken. So,
And just for clarification, Part 2 crimes are,
so part ones are gonna be your violent crimes.
Yeah.
So,
and Part 2 is everything else?
everything else, yeah.
Petty theft,
Could be, it
jaywalking?
could be all the small stuff, yeah. Stuff that doesn't fit into the other categories.
Thank you.
Thank you. Of the 30,000 plus crimes in the state of,
Yeah,
in the penal code.
thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Great. Thank you
Thank you.
very much, Captain.
Thank you.
Okay, California Highway Patrol.
Good morning, Council. Jordan Church, Public Information Officer for CHP Antelope Valley. Pleasure to see you all, and thank you for having me again. I'm here for update regarding CHP Antelope Valley. So we do have 7 trainees who are on their final stages of training. The separation of FTO and trainee will bolster CHP Antelope Valley's numbers, hoping to boast all of our enforcement data numbers as well, so that those new officers being on their own enforcing separate from an additional officer should bode well for our enforcement data. So with that, CHP 215, so any type of citation, whether it's for speed, seatbelt, cell phone, anything like that, they are for the month of October is what I'll speak to. They are up 3% for a total of 694 citations issued. 3% is month of October 2025 compared to 2024. Enforcement contacts are down only 1%, but that is still a number at 1,410 enforcement contacts. So that's any time we are making a traffic stop or contacting to enforce the law, whether it be penal or vehicle code or any of the other codes possible. Motorist services are up 6.54% for a total number of 228, and that's just us stopping, talking to disabled motorists, someone with a flat tire, getting them the help they might need. And arrests are down 3%, but that still makes for a 93 number for arrests for the month of October. So our Halloween maximum enforcement period was issued by our department. It was a total of 12 hours. In those 12 hours on Halloween night, 7 arrests were made here in the Antelope Valley and 27 citations were issued. 5 of those arrests were DUI and 2 of those arrests were non-DUI arrests. So that makes for a good Halloween night, making sure the streets of Antelope Valley are safe. Recruitment continues to do well comparatively. Our academy still has those 3 classes in, making up for approximately 500 cadets at the academy at any time, training, hoping to graduate and get out to our areas, helping boast the California Highway Patrol's number throughout California. Our fatal crash numbers here in the Antelope Valley are some of the highest in Southern Division. Has a lot to do with our open roads and the speeds that are actually attainable by our drivers here. Hoping that when we do get the officers that are on training out onto the road, we can continue to reduce that mileage death rate, which is just the amount of fatal crashes that happen here in Antelope Valley. We have stayed pretty consistent in the past few years on how many fatal traffic crash incidents are occurring. So luckily they are not increasing, and we are doing everything we can to decrease those, the amount of crashes that result in a fatal injury. Yeah, we're still working on our DUI prevention, speed enforcement, but that is all I've got. Do you have any questions or feedback about anything that I spoke about?
What was the number of fatals for October?
I don't have the numbers for October specifically.
Okay.
For the year, we are at, I think it's 41 fatal traffic crash incidents.
For the year?
Yes.
I think it was last meeting you mentioned some new officers in training, and how's that going? Is everyone fully on duty now? And
Yes, yeah, those were so we had a total of 12 at one point just a couple months ago. 5 of those officers are off of training. They successfully completed their training periods, and they are part of our ranks at this point. We still have a class that came in a couple months ago, a class of 7 new officers that are still training with field training officers. Which kind of speaks to why some of the numbers are down, right? When you put 2 officers in one car, it kind of decreases their ability to go out and patrol as separate units. Kind of just reduces the amount of patrol cars we have out there. So when those 7 do successfully complete their training, we will have more officers out on the beat, on patrol. And yeah, they're all doing well, and they are hoping to be successful. I think they're off training in about a month now. So you should see them out there pretty soon.
Great. Good
Sir.
to hear.
Good to hear.
Okay, great. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
District Attorney.
Good morning. On behalf of the DA's office, I have filing statistics for both September and October, and that includes both filings and declines. First, I wanted to share that our office countywide continues to work through our filing backlog. I know you all are aware that we had thousands of cases in our electronic filing system that were just waiting for a deputy DA to review and make a filing decision. Office-wide, countywide, we're continuing to work through that, and we've made some very good progress. Locally here, our numbers are down. The last I checked, and I believe this was Monday, our numbers were down to about 180 or so cases. Half of those are older cases. Most of the cases that are in there, I would say maybe about 100 of the 180 are new cases with future dates and current arrests. So we really, I would say, do not have a significant backlog anymore, and I'm very proud of that fact, and my people that are working diligently to get through the cases and make decisions. With that, let me go through September and October. For September and October in the area of arsons, we filed 1 case. There were 0 filings in that area in October, 0 declines in September, and we declined to file 1 arson. In the area of auto thefts, we filed 7 in September, 8 in October. We declined to file 9 in September and 13 in October. Regarding burglaries, both residential and commercial, we filed 11 in September, 4 in October, declined to file 2 in September, and declined to file 1 in October. Criminal threats, we filed 2 cases in September, 4 in October, declined 1 in September, declined 2 in October. Drug sales cases, we filed 5 in September, 3 in October. We declined to file 4 in September, declined to file 1 in October. Domestic violence cases, we filed 9 in September, 11 in October, declined to file 3 in September, and declined 14 in October. And just for clarification purposes, all of the cases that I'm referring to, these are felony filings. We prosecute a significant number of misdemeanors, and many of the crimes that I'm reviewing for you now are both, they're wobblers, which can be filed as both misdemeanors and felonies. So some of the cases where you might see a decline was filed as a misdemeanor offense. Many cases also come in just as a misdemeanor request, and we might file a misdemeanor request under those circumstances as well. So with evadings, these are felony evadings and felony hit and run. The felony hit and run are those that involved injuries or significant injuries. September, we filed 5. October, 3, declined 1. In September, declined 0 in October. Felony assaults, which include our assaults with deadly weapons, also assaults likely to produce great bodily injury. And looks like we filed 19 in September, 18 in October, declined to file 9 in September, and declined to file 13 in October. Felony DUIs, We did not have any filings in that area in September. We filed 4 felony DUIs in October, 0 declined in September, and 1 declined in October. Grand thefts and identity thefts, we filed 4 in September. We filed 9 in October, declined to file 4 in September. October, we declined to file 5. Illegal firearms and other weapons, we filed 10 in September, 8 in October, declined to file 2 in September, and declined to file 2 in October. Murders and attempted murders, there were 2 filings in September, 1 in October, and there were 0 declines in September or October. I will note that with the felony DUI, I believe that one of the murders that we filed, and I can't recall if that was September or October, was what's called a Watson murder, and that is a DUI-related murder where there was a fatality involved in a DUI collision. Robberies, we filed 13 in September, 5 in October. We declined to file 2 in September and 3 in October. Sex crimes for both adults and children, there were 9 filings in September, 2 in October. September declines, 7, and there were 11 cases declined in October. Felony vandalism, 2 cases were filed in September, 2 cases in October. We declined to file 5 in September and 5 in October. That's another area, vandalism, where I would say the majority of our filings would be misdemeanor filings, and those are where the value or the cost of repair is a lesser amount of money. Normally, felonies, although the law says that a vandalism over $400 can be filed as a felony, many times if it's a less substantial or significant amount of money, we elect to file those as misdemeanors. In each case of those, even if it's filed as a misdemeanor rather than a felony, victims on those cases are entitled to restitution, even if it goes above that $400 threshold for misdemeanor. And finally, violation of protective order, we filed 19 in September, 14 in October. We declined to file 6 in September, and in October, there were 23 declines in that area. That number stood out to me, and I can tell you that I personally have filed or reviewed the majority of our violations of restraining order, and the trend that I saw is that many of the cases, there were multiple reports that were taken, and rather than file individual cases, there may be one suspect who violated a restraining order 5 times rather than file 5 individual cases. I elect to put all of those cases together under one case number that would be the master case number. And so in our system, I decline cases, and my decline code is combined with other counts or other cases. And so the number appears to be very high, but that's taking into account those cases or those reports that were filed by our office under one court case number. Any questions?
Just have a kind of general question. Now that it's about a year into the new district attorney's term, you mentioned the misdemeanor charges. How are we seeing changes in how that's being dealt with versus how they were under the previous DA's policy?
The district attorney, one of the first acts that he performed was to basically rescind some of the special directives from the prior administration, and one of those directives that was rescinded specifically dealt with misdemeanor filings. Under the prior administration, our office declined to file many misdemeanors, most drug-related. There were other offenses, some trespass-related offenses, crimes of that nature. We're filing those now. So I have seen an uptick in filings. We are actively filing those cases now.
That's great to hear. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, public safety update, Lancaster Police Department.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just really quickly, some of the things we've been working on, as you heard from Mike Katz, the smoke shop operation was very successful. It was over a period of 2 weeks and 4 days over those 2 weeks. We had 30 smoke shops, is that right? 30 smoke shops, and then you saw the results and heard the results of that. We also did an operation jointly with the Sheriff's Department at I and 10th. And, you know, there's been a lot of problems at I and 10th, and we've been talking about those here. So most recently, last week, we hit 2 taps, did warrants on those 2 locations. Tap is an illegal gambling facility. There was drugs, guns, and 10 people were arrested out of those as a result. So we hopefully made a big impact there, but we're not done. As with the smoke
sorry.
shops,
Sorry about that.
Yes,
How
sir.
many arrests was that?
10.
10, wow.
So like with the smoke shops, we're going to continue putting attention at I and 10th until the problems go away and no longer exist. And we are working with the property owner, whether or not he likes it. He has been noticed on several of the businesses there, and he's gonna be held responsible for the type of business that continues to happen in his properties, along with the business owners in those locations. So we're continuing on those as well. Our operations down on Sierra Highway addressing the trafficking and prostitution. The most recent ones were John Stings. We put an officer out there, and she was very popular. We made, I believe, 7 arrests in our last operation out of there for people that were soliciting. Since then, we've seen a significant reduction in the time that the ladies have been out there. Today I haven't seen them at all. Most days I don't see them. Some days there's 1, maybe 2 come out. And our guys will stop, talk to them, offer services, try to get them out of the life. And if they decline, then tell them that, you know, this place is closed, you need to go somewhere else. So it's been successful, and again, we're not gonna give up on that one. We're gonna keep putting attention there until that's no longer a place to go. The businesses there have been extremely positive about the results of that. They've provided feedback, and I know prior to the operations, our interactions with those business owners expressed that it was such a problem, like their families wouldn't even come to have lunch with them. And so we wanted to be able to bring that back to where, you know, their kids can come have lunch with that at the business. And so hopefully we're very close to that now with the cleanup at Sierra Highway. We're continuing to work on problem locations. Division and K is gonna be another one we're focusing on. And we received our first ask from a neighborhood specifically to bring police services to camp out in the neighborhood. So that's a positive change that we're seeing in the community, where they are understanding we are here for the community, that we want to partner with the community, and there is a community now that is wanting us to do that, or a neighborhood that's wanting us to do that. So that's all I have. You guys have any questions?
I have a question about the tap place. It's an illegal place, so they cannot just legally have some place, and they can have a business license to do that, right?
Correct.
Were they hiding it when you do the operation?
No.
Are they hiding in the behind the existing businesses?
No, so when we go in, these machines are large kitchen table size, and there's several of those. So they're not hidden, they're out in the open, and that's the purpose of this. But, you know, they put up the blinds and all that in the front, so you don't see really what's going on in there. And then the door's locked, and you have to be let in, things like that.
So how did you get that information? And does somebody?
There's indicators that type of business is going on. We do surveillance. We can see certain things that let us know that there's illegal operations going on. You know, community information. Sometimes we may send somebody in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I had a couple.
Too late.
On the prostitution stings, are you able to get up to that next level and go after the traffickers themselves? How does that work in those investigations?
Yes, so it's about mapping the network. finding out who they're connected to, where they come from. But interestingly, while we thought that most of these women had, a pimp locally, a lot of them are coming from out of the area. They come from Vegas, they come from Long Beach, they come from Orange County, just different places. Some of them even fly in from out of state. We found out that there is somehow in the industry kind of known locations on where you can go to make some fast money and then leave. And this is one of those locations. So a lot of the ladies that we interact with are not even from here. There are some that are from here, and we're working on those network paths. But I had never seen a place where people flew in before, so that was unique to me.
Yeah. And then on some of those problem locations, the I-10, the Challenger and K, first off, I just want to let you know that a legitimate business owner in one of those areas contacted me and was ecstatic about getting after those taps and other things. However, they told me at least one of them was back operating that Saturday. And I know that's the whack-a-mole challenge that you face, but just want to pass on some appreciation from the good people that are trying to.
Yeah, appreciate that. We do have good businesses. We have good businesses right there in that parking lot. And it's, I'm sure, frustrating for them too, to have to experience the problems right outside their door when they're trying to make a valid business.
Is an option, some of those, as I understand they're being used in the unincorporated areas on some of the illegal dumping, but I think they're called LRTs or LVTs, the parking lot units
The
for
trailers?
surveillance.
You talking about the trailers?
Well, trailer or even the ones that are just like kind of on a yeah, like a back trailer, but just a pole with cameras and that kind of thing. Is that an option in areas like that, or does that?
It is. Yeah, it is. And we're working with property owners and then other business owners, and then also we do have trailers we can place there as well.
Great. Okay.
You said Challenger and K is also one of the other areas you're surveilling?
Yes.
Okay. My mom owns a little book and Bible store right on Challenger and K. There's a liquor store, there's the Pupuseria. Our office used to be on Challenger and K as well. We ended up moving it. But I did speak to her, and she loves to see you guys there. There's a donut shop there, there's a liquor store there. So when you said that the community is very welcoming, I know that she loves it when you guys pull up. So and it would be very helpful. It's a little book and Bible store, they're just trying to sell a Bible.
Yeah,
But thank you.
appreciate it. A lot more of those need to be sold there.
Yeah.
And we also have a traffic enforcement operation going on right now. It's been going since 7 o'clock this morning. We have approximately 40 traffic units out that are doing enforcement from other towns, surrounding towns that come and help us, or cities come and help us. We're part of a group that does this once a month in a different city. And so hopefully Lancaster's getting a wake-up call today to start slowing down.
Thank you.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, elected offices updates. I think we have one. Yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. We'll be right with you. Thanks. We have the Lancaster Community Development Department introduction.
That's me, actually. I'll try to be quick. Whoa, that's really loud.
hey
I
there.
apologize. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Chairman Mercy and members of the commission. My name is Hai Nguyen. I am the new Assistant Director for Community Development. I work under Patty Garibay. If you know me, you would probably know me from the Planning Commission meeting, which I manage. I recognize at least one familiar face in Commissioner Hernandez, so it's nice to see you here finally. I'm here with Sam McNutt. Sam is the Community Preservation Manager. That division is more commonly known as code enforcement. Perhaps we can bring to you in a future meeting an update on all the goings on with our community preservation division sometime in the future. So a couple things we are working on. We are building a team. So we are currently recruiting for Sam's replacement, although nobody can really replace Sam. So perhaps next time you see me, I can introduce you to our new manager there. And I just want to shout out to our senior code enforcement officer, Scott O'Connor. He is retiring. In fact, this is his last week, and his farewell party is here in a few minutes. So just want to shout him out for his years of service with our department and just with the city as a whole. We have a host of programs that we would love to talk to you about, very customer-centric programs and programs involving AI. So perhaps next time we can kind of show you some of those details and get your feedback and guidance as well. So looking forward to talking to you all in the future. Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to have you here. You know, I know a lot of us are believers in the broken windows and know how important that kind of code enforcement is to help and make our neighborhoods better. So appreciate everything you guys do.
Yes, I'm excited to hear the reports.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Come on back.
Hello, it's on. Okay. I actually just wanted to make a comment. I follow, of course, a lot of the agency social media pages, and I noticed Lancaster PD had made one kind of alerting the community, hey, like there's going to be some increase in operations in the area. And I noticed that it got like tens of likes, maybe like 20, 30, but it had like hundreds of shares, which I thought was very interesting. My name is Jasmine. I'm the field representative for Congressman George Whitesides. And I just wanted to share, it's not as criminal justice related, but obviously there's a lot going on our federal government side. And so the biggest thing has been the government shutdown. So kind of leading into the government shutdown, the congressman led a series of bills. The Federal Firefighter Paycheck Protection Act, which would ensure that in the event of a lapse in appropriations, federal firefighters, including wildland firefighters employed by USFS, DOI, and other agencies, as well as structural firefighters at military installations and other federal properties, continue to be paid as normal and can't be subject to reductions in force. He also led the Pay Our Troops Act of 2025 and the Pay Our Military Act, which would ensure pay continues to our servicemen and women during a government shutdown, as well as the No Pay for Congress During Default or Shutdown Act, which would prevent payment of members' salaries if the debt limit is breached or there is a lapse in appropriated funds. The Securing Assurance for Federal Employees Act, which would prohibit laying off federal employees during a government shutdown. Obviously, in addition to that, he had also shared that he would be donating his salary to Meals on Wheels because they service in Santa Clarita Valley and the Antelope Valley. And so he has been doing that. Most recently on Sunday, the Senate passed the continuing resolution, and so House members were called back for emergency votes. They're expected to vote today, could go through the night, maybe tomorrow, just depends on negotiations. And then, so he's there now. Yesterday, he did spend the day in the district with our veterans across from, the North San Fernando Valley up to Lancaster. And then just other things that were going on in the district. We just closed our challenge apps and we had 19 submitted. That was open to our middle school and high school students who could do any sort of coding. So we look forward to reviewing those submissions. We had 42 Service Academy applications, which was, of course, our seniors applying to some of these very prestigious academies and to commit themselves to military service, which we're very proud of. And I believe that's all. If you have any questions for me.
Any questions?
Thank you for that update.
So is the shutdown gonna end?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, thank you, Jasmine, for being here. Okay, public business from the floor, non-agendized items.
This is a time to address the Lancaster Criminal Justice Commission on non-agendized matters. Speaker cards can be found on the back table of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each unless a different time limit is announced. State law prohibits the commission from taking action on items not listed on the agenda. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Mr. Paul?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, good morning. I promised my friend Jinher a big opening today, but I spoke beyond my means, but I'm going to close strong, so you're in luck. I just want to tell you all that it is an honor to be in this room full of heroes. Yesterday was Veterans Day, and I remember from being in the Army and serving in law enforcement that the cliche is that all you can rely on is the man or woman standing next to you when it hits the fan. And I feel a camaraderie in this room and a connection to these impossible things. You know, there's always something that comes up here that changes what I'm going to say a little bit, but I think about the other day, you know, I wear my Superman shirt again, and I grew up in the best part of America, and truth, justice, and the American way was what a young man would aspire to. And I don't know where that went, and some people think the world has changed, but I think that was the golden age of America, and I was lucky. The world has always been a bad, rough place. I'm watching this show on Netflix, Bottled Lightning. It's about James Garfield, the 20th president of the United States, one of 4 presidents who was assassinated. And it's just fascinating in the post-Grant era. Grant was running for a 3rd term. He got nominated. It's a great story to see how America really functions, and I encourage you to watch that. But the most telling thing that I saw recently after I came home from one of these meetings was a George Orwell quote. It said, "People sleep peacefully in their beds at night because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf." So that's where it gets a little cloudy, because we want to do the right thing, we want to observe and follow the law, but sometimes our hands are tied, cases filed. You know, it's overwhelming. And I always want to come here and express to you how much I appreciate that, because I do a lot of looking into Carl Jung, the role between the ego and the shadow, and light and darkness, and good and evil, and that's what we're fighting. We're fighting the good fight against these forces that take us in the wrong direction. So when I'm amongst you, dedicated people that do this, I am really in amazement at how you persevere with the film that can come from being exposed to that. It is not easy, and it can turn people into things they don't like to be. But I just try and remember the best of it all. And what I want to do, I'm going to let this thing ding down, and if I could have 20 more seconds, I'm going to do my last bit, because I've been saving this for a while, and I want to show you how I
Go ahead, sir.
go ahead around this thing. Okay, so I want to thank David Hasselhoff for this, but it's about perseverance and just getting up to crush it. So, you know, I crush it almost all the time. I'm not just a pretty face. I got a brilliant mind. I know I got my haters, but I don't mind. They don't matter to me because the world is mine. I can't lose because I don't quit. That's why I'll be crushing it. And I really appreciate you guys crushing it constantly. It makes me feel good, and the rest of the people that you never even hear from. So thank you all. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, David. And thank you for your service.
Commissioner comments. Commissioner Brown?
Just want to say, kind of back him up and say thank you, everyone, for what you do for our community, and just want to wish everyone a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Same thing, just want to thank everyone and thank all of our veterans for their service as well. And hope we all have a really nice and peaceful Thanksgiving.
Wonderful. Yes, thank you all. Thank you for being here, and have a great Thanksgiving. We are adjourned.